Hello and welcome to our first installment of Excel at Work. I'm excited for our first video here. Alright, so today what we're going to take a look at is how to determine which days are holidays and weekends, and then from that we're going to apply it to a spreadsheet of I have a few names here, Jim, Bob, and Rachel, and we've put their hours worked, just a few random numbers here, and what we're going to do is we're going to have Excel tell us when it's a weekend and when it's a holiday, and have it calculate the overtime for how much they will get paid for their overtime. So we see over here, I already noted that weekends and holidays both are equal to overtime, 1.5 times their wage, which I put here. So I'm just gonna make these currencies real quick so that we can tell the difference. So here are what their hourly rate is, and now we need to determine which days are weekends and holidays. So what we could do is we could add a bunch of columns here and say, this is, Saturday all the way down. But I like to keep it neat and clean out here, so I'm going to use sheet 1 over here to do that. So before I do that, I'm going to copy the date ranges here and just bring them over to that sheet 1. And I'm just going to paste. No special values there because we want to keep the same formatting. Okay, so now we have our dates, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look down here on my Windows calendar and just see what day June 2nd was. So June 2nd, 2018 was a Saturday. So right here, I'm going to type Saturday. And then for June 3rd, I'm going to type Sunday. And then Monday. And actually, we don't need that Saturday because we already have it established right up here. So what I'm doing here is I am starting a pattern which Excel is going to recognize for us, and it's going to carry it all the way down so we don't have to do all that typing. So now what I've done is I'll back up here and I'll show you this little box down here. You just double click and it brings that pattern all the way down. So if we want to double check one of these, so June 30th, it says that it's a Saturday. Let's just verify that. Oh, we're not going that far back. Let's verify that on June 30th it was indeed a Saturday. So now we have our days of the week. Well, we're not going to go through and manually say, well, this is a weekend and that's a weekend. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use an if statement to automatically tell us whether it's a weekend or not. So we're going to do equals if and logical test. So we want to point it to the day of the week over here. And before we do that, we want to say if this over here equals Saturday. If that's true, see how the true is highlighted here? If that's true, then we want this cell to say weekend. And now if it's false, we're going to do the same for Sunday, so we're just going to add another if statement here. And we're going to do if B1 is equal to Sunday. If it's true, we also want it to say weekend. And if it's false, we're going to leave it blank for now. So what that does is that on the false statement, if it's not a Saturday or a Sunday, we just want it to be blank because it's not a weekend. We could put weekday there, but we don't need it to be defined. So what we're going, sorry, that was because I forgot to put the ending parentheses there, but we don't need to define that it's a weekday because that doesn't matter right now. So we're just going to leave it blank, and we're going to hit that double box right there. And now it is defined for us when it is a weekend. And now, not just weekends, but they also get paid overtime on holidays. So I don't know about you, but my work schedule goes off of the New York Stock Exchange holidays, and I've got those together here on a separate spreadsheet. I'm just going to copy over these right here, and I'm just going to put them over to the side just for now. Whoops. There we go. We're just going to name these NYSE, New York Stock Exchange holidays. Alright, so now we have our holidays, and now we also want this column here to tell us when it's a holiday. So if we go back into our if statements, we have our ifs. If it's a Saturday, say it's a weekend. If it's a Sunday, say it's a weekend, and then blank. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a VLOOKUP there. Take out those double quotes that we put in there to say to have it say blank, and instead we're going to put in a VLOOKUP. And the lookup value is going to be the date over here, because if the date matches one of the dates over here, then it's a holiday. So our lookup value is going to be this date right here. And our table array is actually, I forgot one step. So we're going to go back and we're going to put our double quotes right there so that it's blank. And right over here, next to our holidays, we're going to put the word holiday, so that when we do our VLOOKUP, it'll take that word holiday and put it over there. So now, double click, and there's all our holidays, and I'm going to go back and try that one more time. So I'm going to take out these double quotes right here. I'm going to do VLOOKUP, and we're looking up with this value right here. And our table array is now going to be our holiday table right over here. Sorry about that. We're actually going to, I'll have to edit that. So what we need to do is put $ here so that when we carry this down, our table doesn't move on us. So now you'll see why in a second. So now we've done our table array and our column index, which points to which column in our table array we want to point to. We want to point to the second column because that's where it says holiday. So we're going to put the number 2 there. In our range, lookup is going to be false. And we're going to add one more parentheses there. And we should be good to go. And now if we double click that down, there's a holiday right there, 7/4, that's the 4th of July. And that's the only one I see for right now. So we got one holiday. And now see all these NAs? There's an easy way to have these cells just be blank rather than NA. And how we're going to do that is we're going to add an if error statement around our if statements. If error. And then we're going to come all the way down to the end because this whole section right here is going to be our value for the if error statement. So we're going to come all the way down, we're going to hit comma, and now you can see down here where it shows you what the steps in the formula are. So now if we hit comma, it moves to value if error. And we're just going to put double quotes like we had before, so that now we have that blank slate again, or the blank cells again. My apologies. There we go. And now we see our holiday, clear as day. And now let me explain real quick why we put the $ around that table here. So if we did not put those $ around the table, the reference to this table would move down a cell for each cell. So it's easier to show you than tell you. So now you can see that our holiday is gone, and that's because if you click on one of these further down, the references move down because we've moved from this cell down to this cell, and it thinks that we're just going to keep moving on down the line here, when in fact we have to keep our cell reference right here. So that's what the $ do. So if we go back up here and add in those dollar signs, we'll be good to go. Dollar sign, dollar sign. There's our holiday. We click on one of these, now it's still referencing this table up here. That's good. Alright, so now we've got our weekends and holidays. Okay, so now let's go back to the Pay tab. And over here, we're going to insert just one column instead of 3 columns like we had over here. We're going to insert just one column right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a VLOOKUP. And our lookup value is going to be the date, which is B4. I had to type it in because our formula is covering that cell right now. And our table array is going to be back over on sheet 1. And we're just going to highlight all this. Oops, that's not right. Okay, now our column index is going to be 3, and I can tell you that because we want to look at the third column here, which will tell us whether it's a weekend or a holiday. So we're going to go back, and we're just going to type false right here. And okay, and now we'll just hit that double right there, and now we got our weekends and holidays, and there's our one holiday. So now we'll come over here to column D, under Jim's earned hours, earned column. We're going to do an if statement. If, right over here, is equal to, and first we're going to do weekend. Then what we want to do is the number of hours, which is going to be C4 times 1.5. Our time and a half, our overtime right here. And then close parentheses, and we're going to multiply that by his hourly rate. And then now we can do our false statement. In our false statement, we're actually going to put another if statement. And logical test is going to be C4, our hours worked right over here. And value, C4 equals holiday value if true, and we're going to do the same thing. C4 times 1.5, and then times his hourly rate. And now our false statement is going to be just his hourly rate times his hours worked, because he wouldn't be getting overtime at that point. If it's not a weekend or a holiday, then he's going to be getting his normal hourly rate, which is C4 times hourly rate. We can close those parentheses, hit enter. And so now we will hit that double box right there, and we got a value error. One more thing, we have to go back and we have to put those dollar signs around DT one more time, because we don't want that reference cell to change. Because if it does, then it's going to try and reference the cell above it, and that is going to give us all these value errors right here, which I missed that step. So we're going to go ahead and put those dollar signs. And now we should be okay to double click, and there we have our values, and we'll just change this in the formatting to currency. Alright, so now we've got ourselves a working overtime calculator and pay calculator. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste these formulas over to here and change the references. So paste, and we want this to be changed to F F2, 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 and these to be changed to E4, 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 E4. There we go. And now one more. And we're going to change this to E4, G4, 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 G4. And then this is going to be changed to H2, H2, and H2. So if you don't know where I got that, the G4, which is our value for how many hours he worked, comes from right here. Column G, row 4, that's how many hours he worked. And now you know just to change all of the G4s in there to change that reference. And then same for hourly rate. So we want the H2 to be referencing this cell right up here for their hourly rate. So if you didn't get that, that's where I am. That's where I'm knowing where to change the cell references. So now we can double click down, right? And we'll just make these currency as well. I like to use currency. You can use accounting. You can use, you know, anything, any other. You can use number. You can use whatever you want. But I like to use currency. Okay. So now we've got our numbers, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to use a sum down here. So equals sum of all these right here. Equals sum all these right here. And same for these. Whoops, I did that backwards. And so these aren't, the hours here aren't filled in, but you know, you could make these formulas go for as long as you wanted to, and then as the person works their hours, you would fill these in and they would automatically calculate. So now you can see their total paycheck for how long. Looks like a month's worth of pay. That's pretty good for about a month's worth. So if you have any questions about this video or you need to learn more, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email address is in the description below. Thank you for watching, and be sure to like this video.